Let's be honest. Sometimes the truth we don't want to admit is the one that hurts the most. You might think you're building something real with her, texting every day, calling late at night, giving your time, energy, maybe even your heart. But deep down, there's this quiet feeling like something's off. Like you're always available, but somehow never chosen. And here's the part that stings. You might not be her priority. You might just be her backup plan. Now I know no one wants to hear that, especially when your feelings are involved, especially when you've been loyal, consistent, and patient. But the signs are always there. Subtle, dismissed, ignored, until one day you realize you've been holding space for someone who's only giving you crumbs. This isn't about bitterness, it's about clarity. Because the second you recognize you're not the main character in her life is the second you take your power back. So let's get real. If these signs sound familiar, it's time to stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. She only reaches out when it's convenient for her. That's not attention, that's control. At first, it feels flattering. She texts you out of nowhere, calls you late at night, slides into your DMs with a "hey stranger," just when you finally started moving on. And you think, maybe she misses me. But look closer. It's not consistency, it's convenience. She's not checking in because she values you. She's doing it because you're easy access. She knows you'll answer. She knows you'll respond. She knows you're still there, waiting, hoping, available. So she tosses just enough breadcrumbs to keep you emotionally hooked, but never enough to satisfy the hunger for real connection. It always starts the same way. Long gaps in communication, followed by sudden bursts of interest. She disappears for days or weeks, then pops back in like nothing happened. No explanation, no accountability. Just a soft smile, a flirty message, maybe even a memory you both shared. She brings up the past, not because she wants to rebuild something with you, but because she wants to reestablish control. She wants to remind you that she can have your attention whenever she wants it. And every time you respond, you reinforce that power. Not because you're weak, but because you're human and because deep down, you still care. But think about how you feel after those interactions. Are you energized or are you confused? Do you feel closer to her or further away from yourself? That emotional tug of war isn't love, it's manipulation. She doesn't keep you close because she sees a future with you. She keeps you close because she sees a backup, a safety net, someone to fill the silence when her main options aren't available. Someone who validates her when her ego needs a boost. Someone who gives more than he gets because he still believes in a potential that only he is trying to build. You start to notice a pattern. She only texts you late at night. She never initiates plans. She flirts just enough to keep you invested but never follows through. You're the emotional placeholder, the one she turns to when she's lonely, bored, or needs attention. But when life gets good for her, when the guy she actually wants starts showing up again, you become invisible, ghosted, ignored, muted. And then, like clockwork, she returns again when things fall apart, expecting you to pick up right where you left off. This isn't about hating her. This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about recognizing the difference between real interest and temporary attention. A woman who values you doesn't operate on convenience. She doesn't disappear when it's hard and reappear when it's easy. She doesn't treat your time, presence, or energy like it's on tap. If she truly saw your worth, she wouldn't risk losing you for even a second. She wouldn't leave you wondering where you stand, waiting for answers that never come, or overthinking texts that feel more like mind games than genuine communication. There's a reason you feel emotionally drained. There's a reason you're starting to question your own value. It's because deep down, you know this isn't mutual. You know this isn't love. It's not even effort. It's habit. You've become a reliable source of comfort when it suits her needs, but when it's your turn, when you reach out, when you're vulnerable, suddenly she's too busy, too tired, too distracted. That imbalance is not a coincidence. It's a strategy. You're never part of her long-term plans. You can talk for hours, laugh at the same jokes, even spend nights together that feel meaningful, but when she talks about her future, you are nowhere in it. She mentions trips she wants to take, goals she wants to chase, places she wants to move, and none of it includes you. Not even as a maybe. Not even as a possibility. And at first you might brush it off. You tell yourself she's independent or she's just focused on herself right now. But over time, that pattern becomes impossible to ignore because no matter how deep your conversations go, She's always planning for a future that doesn't have space for you. It shows up in the little things. You suggest something a few months out and she changes the subject. You talk about commitments or even vague plans that involve the two of you and she dodges. She might say, let's see what happens, or I'm just going with the flow. But flowing doesn't mean floating in circles. What she's really doing is keeping things conveniently undefined. She wants the comfort of having you now without the responsibility of building something later. She keeps the connection open just enough to keep you close, but never solid enough to make you feel secure. You start to notice that every meaningful step forward is coming from you. You initiate the conversations. You ask where things are going. You try to gauge her level of seriousness, but she stays vague, non-committal, emotionally slippery, and when you ask for clarity, she either gives you a confusing half answer or spins it back on you. Suddenly, you're the one being too intense, too impatient, too demanding. That's not clarity. That's deflection. And it's a clear sign that she's not building something with you. She's just keeping you around until something better comes along. And let's be honest, when someone sees you as part of their future, you feel it. You don't have to chase it, decode it, or second guess it. It shows up in their words, in their consistency, in the way they make space for you in their life. Not just on their terms, but mutually. But when you're her backup plan, she'll always keep you just outside that vision, close enough to feed the illusion of something real, but far enough to never let it fully materialize. She might even say things like, I'm just not ready for anything serious, or I need to focus on myself, but watch her actions. Because the same girl who isn't ready with you may suddenly be in a committed relationship 2 months later with someone else. Why? Because it was never about timing. It was about priority. And when someone truly wants you in their life long term, they don't put you on hold while they figure everything else out. You deserve to be someone's first choice, not a placeholder while they explore their options. A woman who sees your value won't leave you wondering. She won't hesitate to build something with you. She'll speak in we, not just me. And until you see yourself as worthy of that kind of partnership, you'll keep settling for maybes when what you truly want is a yes. She's emotionally unavailable but keeps you close. That contradiction is exactly what keeps you stuck. 1 minute she's warm, open, even vulnerable. You catch a glimpse of something real, something intimate, and then just as quickly she pulls away. Cold, distant, guarded. You're left wondering what you did wrong, replaying conversations in your head, trying to figure out what shifted. But it's not you. It's her emotional inconsistency that keeps you trapped in a cycle of hope and confusion. She gives you flashes of connection, just enough to keep you invested, but when you try to deepen things, ask real questions, or express how you feel, she shuts down. Changes the subject, says she doesn't want to ruin the vibe, or that you're overthinking it. And the more she avoids emotional depth, the more effort you pour in, trying to prove you're safe, loyal, worth opening up to. But here's the truth. She already knows you are. That's not the issue. The issue is she's not available to meet you there. Still, she won't let you go. She keeps the emotional door cracked just enough to let you believe there's potential. She sends a thoughtful message out of nowhere. She acts possessive when you pull away. She says she misses talking to you, but still gives you the same surface level version of herself. This isn't love, it's emotional control. She doesn't want the responsibility of a real connection, but she doesn't want to lose the comfort of your presence either. You try to be understanding. You tell yourself maybe she's been hurt before. Maybe she needs time. Maybe if you're just patient enough, consistent enough, kind enough, she'll eventually feel safe and choose you fully. But emotional availability isn't something you earn. It's something someone decides to offer. If she's not choosing to be open with you after all the energy you've given, it's not because you're not doing enough. It's because she's not willing or ready to meet you on that level. The hard part is her inconsistency creates a kind of emotional addiction. The highs feel incredible when she's present, when she lets her guard down, when she gives you just enough to believe it could work. But the lows, they're confusing, silent, cold. And it's those lows that keep you chasing the highs, stuck in a cycle of emotional scarcity, thinking if you just hold on a little longer, it'll finally click. But someone who's emotionally available doesn't leave you guessing. They don't make you feel like you're too much for wanting clarity. They show up consistently, even on the days when it's hard. They don't punish you with silence or distance every time things get real. They lean in instead of pulling back. When someone truly wants to connect, they won't let fear stop them from showing up fully. And they definitely won't keep you as a placeholder while they sort through their emotional baggage. You weren't meant to fix her. You weren't meant to fill the empty spaces she won't even acknowledge. If she can't give you emotional safety, stability, and presence, that's not a reflection of your worth. That's a reflection of her capacity. You deserve more than fragments of love dressed up as potential. You deserve someone who chooses you with both their heart and their healing. Your needs are always secondary to hers. At first, it might seem subtle. You let a few things slide because you don't want to come off as needy. You tell yourself, it's fine, it's not a big deal. Every time she cancels plans, forgets something important, or dismisses how you feel. You think being easygoing makes you more appealing, more understanding, but over time, those small sacrifices turn into a pattern, and that pattern tells a deeper story. One where your emotional needs, your time, your voice are always placed at the bottom of her list. She expects you to be there when she needs you, whether it's a bad day, a lonely night, or a sudden craving for attention, and you show up every time. But when it's your turn, when you need to talk, when you're struggling, when you ask for a little more effort, there's silence. Deflection, maybe even guilt tripping. She'll say things like, you're being too sensitive, or you're making things difficult, just to make you question whether your feelings are even valid. That's not a partnership. That's a one-sided arrangement where she's the center and you're the support system. This isn't just about emotional needs either. Isn't how plans are made. You're always the one adjusting, compromising, accommodating her schedule, her preferences, her comfort. She rarely, if ever, does the same in return. You've taught her, without even realizing it, that she can take from you without having to give back. And because you care, because you want to keep the peace, you tolerate it. But slowly, you start to lose yourself. You shrink. You overthink. You put her happiness above your own, thinking that's what love is supposed to look like. But love isn't self-erasure. Love doesn't ask you to silence your needs just to maintain a connection. A woman who truly sees you, values you, wants you, she'll listen when you speak. She'll care about your triggers, your boundaries, your desires, not because you demand it, but because she respects you. She won't wait until you reach a breaking point to give you what you've been asking for all along. What often happens, though, is that when you finally bring it up, when you finally express that you feel unheard, unprioritized, she spins it. Suddenly you're too emotional, too dramatic, or expecting too much. And now, instead of being seen, you're apologizing for having needs, for speaking up, for being human. That emotional imbalance leaves you in a cycle of self-doubt where you start to believe that what you're asking for is unreasonable, when in reality, it's the bare minimum. She may call it independence or say she's just bad at relationships, but those are just labels to avoid accountability. Because the truth is, we always make time, space, and effort for the things we truly care about. If she wanted to prioritize you, she would. If she respected your emotional needs, she'd honor them. The fact that she doesn't is not a flaw in you, it's a decision she's made. One that keeps you small, quiet, and always giving more than you receive. She gives just enough to keep you around, but never enough to move forward. This is one of the most manipulative forms of emotional control because it keeps you locked in a space where hope exists, but progress never happens. One day she's affectionate, engaging, and emotionally available. The next, she's distant, indifferent, or completely silent. And just when you've had enough, just when you start to pull away, she reels you back in with a kind message, a flurry of reply, or a nostalgic memory. It's not growth, it's maintenance. She's not investing in you, she's preserving access to you. This kind of behavior feels like a relationship in limbo. You're not strangers, but you're not official. You're not casual, but you're not committed. It's a constant gray area designed to confuse you while benefiting her. She wants the perks of emotional intimacy without the work. She wants you available without having to choose you fully, so she feeds you with just enough attention to make you believe there's a future, when in reality, she has no intention of building one with you. You notice that progress always comes in circles. You talk about taking things to the next level, and she agrees, in theory. She'll say things like, I'm just not ready yet, or let's not rush it, but she never revisits the topic again. She's comfortable as long as you don't push for more. The moment you ask for clarity or commitment, she pulls away. She'll ghost you, become passive aggressive, or even accuse you of pressuring her. And then, right before you walk away, she offers a glimpse of what you've been craving, just enough to make you stay. It's a pattern that leaves you exhausted, second guessing yourself, and constantly wondering, what are we? You try to be patient. You try to give her space. You convince yourself that maybe she's just scared or needs time. But while you're standing still, giving her the benefit of the doubt, she's using your loyalty as a buffer. You're the emotional insurance policy there when she needs connection, but never allowed to expect more. You might even start to lower your standards just to keep the peace. You stop asking for what you really want because every time you do, it feels like you're risking losing her altogether. So you settle for the temporary highs, the late night conversations, the random sweet texts, the moments that almost feel like love. But those moments aren't building anything. They're keeping you stuck. And deep down, you know it. A woman who truly wants something real doesn't operate in half measures. She won't breadcrumb you with mixed signals. She won't keep you in emotional limbo to avoid commitment. She'll be clear, present, and willing to grow with you. But when you're just a backup plan, what you get is emotional minimalism. Just enough to prevent you from walking away, never enough to make you feel secure. And that's not a connection. That's control dressed up as affection.